All right, good evening, everyone. And I trust you're all doing well. You're welcome to today's seminar from Aquaworld. I am Fashagba, Tosin, Sarah. Yeah. So before we start, I would like to take us through just a brief history about the organization. I would like to share my screen. Yeah, I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. All right, so like you all know, this is Aquaworld. And then our mission is to add value to the aquatic world and its resources. Yeah, our vision is to ensure a clean and healthy aquatic landscape across the blue planet, to bring the aquatic aesthetic values closer to people. And this is what we've been doing. Our vision across to the general public with the values of the aquatic world and its resources. And the core values we have are integrity, creativity, teamwork, competence, commitment, and value addition. Like you know, we are an organization of young individuals, we are youth, and we are focused on projecting aesthetic values of the aquatic environment through advocacy, events, just like what we are having now, projects. We have different kind of projects, research, and volunteerism. Also, we have this different kind of activities such as the Aqua Facts, we have our Aqua Resources, we have our Aqua News, articles, Aqua Flash, and the Name It program. I'm sure most of you are familiar with our Name It program, which comes up every Monday. Yeah, so basically this is just a summary about our organization. So for the newcomers, if you're interested, you can actually come to our website here, read more of our website, and can reach out to any of the members to show maybe you want to join us. Thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. So for today, I would like to give a brief intro about our guest here. So our speaker is Mr. Opeyemi Rasaq. He's a young climate professional with experience in community engagement and climate advocacy. And as you can see, he finished from FUTA and currently is a Pan-African scholar here studying climate change. Yeah. And so he has done a lot of things to know that, yes, he's actually a youth advocate of the environment. He has been involved in Young Leaders Initiative, Regional Leaders, the yearly RLC, and he has also trained himself to improve his capacity so far. So yet today we'll be talking to us about the citizen science and how citizen science is very important in climate change. So I want us to listen to him, to actually pay attention so that we can be able to understand what he's saying and able to ask a pertinent question. So I'll give the floor to Mr. Rasaq Opeyemi. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, thank you very much for that introduction. I don't know, can I turn on my camera, or is it okay if I continue like this?
Yeah, you can put on your camera, please.
Okay, all right, thank you. So good evening, everyone, and it's such a pleasure to be here and also to talk about, I will not call it something like new to us. So let me put on my slide. Is it visible? Can you see my slide?
Yeah, I can see us. You
Right,
can
yes.
put it on presentation mode.
Okay, let me do that. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining this call. And first and foremost, I also like to appreciate the Aquaworld for the great work they are doing, and also for my host and for everyone that has joined this call this evening. Thank you very much. And as Tosin has said, I'm just going to be talking about citizen science, generally like the role the citizen science played in monitoring climate change and its impact on aquatic ecosystems. As we know, like generally we know the topic around climate change and different forms of the impact that is having on various forms of life. But today, basically, we're just going to be focusing on aquatic life and also the impact of climate change. And it promises to be an interesting presentation. So I would like you to really give your attention to it and make sure you take one or two things from here. Um, okay, so let's just get right into it. So just a brief in addition to the bio and why I'm actually doing this today is I know some of us probably that have come across the latest UNIC treaty that was signed, I think around last month, this year, and it's actually like a landmark uh, for me because there has been a lot of discussion around what's the name, the IC and protecting of the IC. We know that IC like cover most of like two-thirds of oceans that we have like in the planet, and basically because they are not being protected, we know that there are a lot of issues like overfishing, plastic pollutions, and all of that that is affecting the aquatic life in that. But last month, after several negotiations, after several discussions, the United Nations and the parties, they come into an agreement to sign a deal to have the ICs protected. And that was, if you like say, that was like an amicable, or let me say remarkable outcome generally. But this, I come across this nature journals or nature post, and I was also like interested. And as you can see there, they said that this is a landmark actually, but we know that science still needs or still has a role to play, a lot of roles to play, because we know there's still a lot of ground to cover. That is just like a starting point of it. And uh, I know that topic today is around citizen science, and just as I think is related. So we can see that much more that we have negotiations, much more that we have discussions around issues that affect our aquatic lives, there's still a need for science and also like citizens to come in play to participate and make sure that uh, everybody take their action. So this is just a picture of one of the summit I participated in, and basically this is just also an IC summit, and they were able to come up with some recommendations and some documents to send to the United Nations. And I don't know if probably this also added to these and all, but I must say that it's actually a landmark for it. So let me just go right into my presentation for today. So on the overview, we have like introduction, the climate change generally, like because for me, I think the climate change part of it is like I will not say the most important part, but it's like the background of all. Then we want to know what citizen science is and the roles we can play as citizen science. And anyone that is interested in becoming a citizen science, what are the roles we can play and all. So it is not a new thing generally that we know that even the life we have today, every one of us, we in one way or the other, we depend on the ocean or the sea, and also to the aquatic lives, we all in one way or the other benefit from that. So they are diverse. Marine environment is quite diverse and protective or productive, and we know that there are a lot of ecosystem which human being benefited from. Aside from even the aquatic life, we know there are a lot of ecosystem services that the ocean provide to us and all of that. But one thing about that we also know is like there's this issue of climate change that has become a critical issue to our ocean in general. And these ecosystems that are also in the ocean, they are also being affected by the impact of climate change. Just like in the rising temperature, we have that, the ocean acidification, sea level rise, and other effect that climate change is bringing on the aquatic life and also in generally. And another critical thing about the ocean we know is a carbon sink generally. So because basically, if you like about 80% of carbon emitted into the atmosphere, some of them have been traced back into the ocean, and ocean has been serving as a very huge carbon sink. And over time, because this problem keeps on going and is continuous, that we know that there is more than what the ocean can keep out from the atmosphere, and indirectly this is affecting the aquatic life and all. So, but we know that there is also another side to that, which, like, with the help of citizen science, we should be able to also come in place and see how we can monitor and better understand these changes, and also develop effective strategies to mitigate the impact of climate change in our oceans and also the aquatic life generally. So how is climate change, and I put in bracket here carbon emission, because when we are talking about climate change, like we say that climate change is a broad aspect, general, but the background, the main, should I say the foundation of all, is the carbon emission. We know that a lot of countries globally, there's still a lot of discussions around carbon mitigation, carbon sequestration, removing carbon from the atmosphere, and all of that. So what is the impact of climate change or carbon emission on aquatic life? The first I've outlined here is ocean acidification. For some of us that are ocean scientists, we should at least be familiar with this. And generally, I know we have like a diverse audience today. But also, ocean acidification is just like the impact of the carbon emitted in the atmosphere. Like I said earlier, that oceans serve as a great sink of carbon. So over time, as this carbon keep increasing, we know that the ocean keeps getting them, and over time, there is effect of this emission or carbon reduction on the ocean, which is general reduction of pH. That is the acidity of the ocean because of the extended period of carbon emission. And this graph is just showing us, just paint the picture better, that we perceive right around 2000 years, we see that carbon emission keeps increasing and keeps growing. And this is also like the soft carbon being absorbed by the ocean. But anything from the right from 2000, we see that the thing, the trend, the emission trend keeps increasing. And this is also showing like the future projections. So around like 2100 years to come and all. So as this carbon emission is increasing, we see that the ocean pH, which is the test of the acidity of the ocean, is decreasing in trend, and which also shows us that as this thing is decreasing, that means we have more of acid in the ocean. So this means that this is like a simultaneous reaction, if I could put it in that way. As the carbon being absorbed, we know that the pH is decreasing and our ocean is becoming like more acidic and is affecting life. So what are the consequences of ocean acidification in general? The first I've outlined here is the sea butterfly, which is the theropods. And the theropod shells, you know, when I came across this, I was like, this is quite like interesting. And what this one is just showing us that as this thing is decreasing, as this graph is decreasing, we know that the consequence first is thus marine creature, which is basically like food for all the aquatic life we have in the ocean, majorly from shark, fish, and all. They feed on this sea butterfly, if I could put it that way. And this is just showing us the life cycle of this sea butterfly with the impact of carbon or ocean acidification. At the day zero, you see how well this is formed. But by day 15, is still okay, day 30, but day 45, this literally dissolved because of the acid in the ocean. So, and because of that, we know that this will is like starving the aquatic life when there's nothing to feed on, and that is having a great impact on the aquatic life. So, here we say like it spent like 45 days in the seawater with a pH of 7.8, which is like the benchmark of this. And after 45 days, it's literally dissolved in the ocean. leaving the aquatic life nothing to feed on. And second to that is also like this I come across with the high impact of carbon emission scenario in the ocean. So, and this is showing us that by the year 2050, there will be a decrease in the size of shark, shrink in the body weight of shark and fishes in the ocean to around 24% by then. And this can be traced back or traced to the ocean acidification as well. Because as the ocean is becoming acidic, we know that the fishes too, they need to breathe in the ocean, they need to move around and do like that and do all those stuff. Then as this thing is increasing, the energy they need to move around, to convert their food and all of that, they are also using some part of their energy to also expel some excessive acid in the ocean. So this is probably the reason for this decrease in the size of ocean. So this, you should be telling us that something is quite wrong, or probably there is a like, should I put it like a danger for the future? Because if we are saying by this 2050, that means we are not even leaving the ocean sustainably for the future generation that are coming in. So, in secondly, aside from ocean acidification, we also have the sea surface temperature. And this basically is just talking about the temperature increase of the ocean, which you know that is also a consequence, or should I say one of the impact of climate change in the ocean aquatic life. So I was able to get this NOAA buoy chart. Buoy is just the instrument used to take measurements on the ocean, as this picture is showing by my right here. And this is like a recent data I come across for February this year. But the only thing, one of the things we can depict from here is the increasing trend in the temperature of the sea surface temperature over the years. As you can see, from 2015 up to like 2020 is increasing, and that's like an increase in the surface temperature of the ocean. So, and in also addition to that, I also like to chip in the IPCC report, which is also showing us scenarios, or should I put like future predictions of the ocean heat and ocean temperature. So, like I've said earlier, that ocean absorb more than 93% of our heat, which as a result of greenhouse gas emission, which that has even been from 1970. And that is causing like ocean temperature increase or ocean temperature rise. But from this graph, this is just, we call this the representative concentration pathways. These are like the scenarios used by International Panel of on Climate Change, which is the IPCC, to check for future predictions on climate variables like temperature and their impact on different social economics. So, and this also they came up from models. They have like models. We have CMEPS. I don't know for probably the people that are familiar with that, but these are just like general models by which these reports or these charts are derived from. So we have the 2.6, which is the blue by this side. So this 2.6 is telling us around the discussion around sustainability, living by cutting down emission, reducing our greenhouse gas emission, and ensuring sustainable activities in our way of life. So if we can abide by that, we can see a decreasing trend, or like very like average compared to the increasing trend over the years, especially for the future time or future period. And also for the 8.5, the 8.5 is showing us the extreme condition, whereby there's no cutting down of emission, there's no carbon reduction, everything continues as business as usual. Then this is showing us that we increase in ocean heat temperature over the years. So this is just showing us that there is also a danger Aside from that, this will increase its temperature, then there's indirectly like effect on the ocean, which will also affect the aquatic life in the ocean. Okay, so the consequence, like I said, is not like just the ocean temperature or the sea surface temperature is increasing, but there are also marine life, marine species and aquatic species that will also be affected as that. And one of the major impact of that is the coral bleaching. As we know that this sounds like the house or the food system for aquatic life, but when the temperature is increasing, it's like they are losing their home and they are losing a place of shall I put it like livelihood and a place to survive and all. And another thing to that is the loss of breeding ground for marine fishes and mammon. And also aside that we affected the marine life, like I said, that human beings also benefit from the ocean ecosystem services. We know that this will also have impact on human beings. So this is just showing us the situation on ground and the problem which calls for a need for like citizens and humans and people that feel concerned to take actions, not just waiting for people to do it for us, but all to be engaged and do something about the problem. So now let me just move to the next, the main focus for the day, which is citizen science, as we have discussed. So what is citizen science in a simple term or just general way? I could say like citizen science is a scientific work carried out by the general public. So it's like you are bringing the science phase of work to be carried out by general public citizens, either they are scientists or not, as long as they are interested in that field of study or in that area, and they are ready to be trained and engaged, then they are able to participate and also do the work. And why does citizen science, or what makes citizen science a thing of like importance to us, is like it's a potential bridge or strategy that bridge the gap between evidence-informed policy decision or policy making and scientific evidence. Because we know, as also we are going to be seeing in some slides to come, we know that we have a target, talking from the aspect of the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal.
Please, I can't hear you. Is it me?
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, David, we can hear you. Continue.
Okay,
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have agenda 2030, that's the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030, and this is already 2023, which means we only have 7 years more to go. And if we still continue by this way, I'm afraid, or should I say, I'm not sure if we are not able to meet up with that. So that shows that all hands needs to be on deck and everybody needs to be engaged for us to make sure that that which we have set as a goal is achieved and all. So one distinct, or let me say two distinct features about citizen science is like, one is the citizen involvement. That is, we are not just talking about scientists or just practitioners or experts in that field alone now, but we are making sure that everyone that is concerned and is ready to be engaged or participate is involved in co-creating solutions that can bring about sustainable development. And another thing is also that it has a great potential for us to reach the sustainable development goals, just like I've said earlier. And just to talk a bit about these pictures, I know for these two we could relate, but the last part is just about the policy side of it. Because when we have policy makers, they also rely on information by the scientists. If I could use the IPCC report now, we know that the UNFCCC or even the Conference of Parties on Climate Change generally, they still relies on information from the international intergovernmental panels on climate change, which is like the scientific body of it. So there's nothing, or there's no decision that can be made or that can come up from the delegations, discussion, or or interrogation or anything about this discussion without the science coming up to provide adequate and not just provide any information and evidence-based information, so that we'll be able to monitor and track progress over the years in the aspect of the study that we are concerned about. Okay. Okay, just to talk a bit about citizen science, is like I've said earlier, it involves citizen volunteers, and I've tried to highlight this place because like I said, everyone can be engaged, everyone can participate as long as they are willing and they are ready to do, then they can do that. So it involves citizen volunteer as partners in the entire scientific process. And just to talk about that, like we said, citizen science, that means it is not just, there's this concept of, okay, participation, people participating in creating solutions, yes, but this has more of the science part of it, because like as a scientist, we want to find out some solution. There are some questions that we need to answer. There are some methodologies that we need to clarify and also get some results in order to ensure the effective decision making and to inform policy making also. So this could help. The volunteers are partners in helping to come up with this scientific process and also to be included in research teams. That means they are like a scientist. A citizen science is like a scientist, one necessarily may not be in the lab doing some tests or doing that. They are all maybe in the field, but they are also working together with the scientists to make sure they come up with solutions and answer scientific questions. So as you can see from this chart, it starting from observation, which is like basically the scientific method process or scientific process. We have from observation, we have from questioning, planning, analyzing, and also communicating. But the central part, which is like let me say the background, is the engagement. There has to be an engagement between the science world, the scientific world, and also the community for them to participate, collect information, participate, collaborate, create, define, understand, and also empower. Yes, I think that part of empowerment is also important, because just like it's not just doing any activities, it's a scientific activities. That means whoever is also coming on board has to be empowered for them to be able to do the work effectively and also to get the desired result. And okay, these are just like a criteria that are needed for citizen science. And like I've said, the engagement of citizens, anyone that is willing and ready to do the work or participate can be engaged to do. And another thing is the good communication. That means there has to be a effective communication between the scientific world, the scientists, and the citizens that are participating in co-creating the solution. And another thing is that the activities of a citizen scientist has to also contribute to science, especially in the aspect of ocean. Now we know we have different aspects of ocean, which are also like the scientific part of it. So the ultimate goal is like it has to contribute to the knowledge of science what we have, or one way to improve what we have. And another thing is also, yes, to improve the ocean library and set clear goals and provide reliable data in order to track progress and also come up with some decisions. So what are the roles that citizen science plays in monitoring climate change? As we have established that there's ocean acidification ongoing, and also trigger a lot of problems in the coming futures as projected from the climate change report, and also the rising temperature also. So what are the rules, or what can we do as citizen science in order to cope this problem and all? So the first thing I've highlighted here is the data collection, monitoring, and evaluation. Because the key background, or let me say the key part of citizen science and what makes it different from every other citizen engagement, is the aspect of data collection. And from this report, as you can see here, that like I've said earlier, we have a goal, which is the Sustainable Development Goal, to be reached by 2030. But from the looks of things, we know that traditional data sources alone may not be sufficient for us to actually measure our progress so far and also to see ways to achieve this goal in the limited time that is left for us now. And in peculiar to Africa now, in the context of Africa, we know that there is a significant data storage or shortage in Africa, especially related to SDG indicators. And this is an assessment that was reported by the the SDG Center for Africa in 2019, that out of the 230 indicators identified for the Sustainable Development Goal, only 96% were available in African countries, across African countries, which is just about 41.4% of that. So that means there is a need for more effort around data collection, data storage, and also effective management of data. And this is the only way for us to monitor and evaluate, because like there's a general saying that you cannot track what you cannot measure. And they say, if you say, okay, you want to achieve this goal by 2030, and there are no data for us to actually monitor our progress and see, okay, how far have we gone? What is left for us to capture, or what other area is needed for us to also extend? Then we may not be able to come up with effective strategy in that. So key roles of citizen science is just about data collection, data storage, management, and monitoring, and also for evaluation. And this is just showing, shall I say, a picture to just give like a diagram of the rules or the processes that involves in data collection, data gathering, and also storage. We have this here is citizen scientists and some probably equipment, ocean, we have different equipment that can be used to collect data and also transmit data. And now, thanks to technology, we have different cloud storage by which data can be stored, compared to like all this where we are still using paperwork and all of that. And due to that, we have a lot of data loss because of lack of proper management of our data. But now with technology, there are data that can be stored in the cloud, and also we can also have access to visualizing systems or tools for us to track or to see what the trend over the years. And another thing, which is the last part, is, let me say, the critical one, is the feedback and dissemination of information. Because after collecting the data and the data is not being used for proper, or should I say, to help policy making or to drive decision making, that means there is no even need of collecting data in the first place. So that means that there needs to be a feedback first to the people that are working in that line, which is the citizen science themselves. Because for the process to continue, it's like a loop process, starting from the citizen scientists individually that are volunteering to collect the data, to the storage and management of the data and visualization. And this visualization can also be for like the general public, everyone that is working around this part can see and also drive one or two information from it. And also from there, the feedback, then we can now have the utility. That means the usage of the data collected by the government agency, the non-governmental, academic, research institutions, and all for us to work together and come up with a determined solution. And these are one of the examples that I've been able to highlight here as rules of citizen science. These are just volunteers trying to track the water quality and some algae sampling in the ocean. Yeah, I think this should be around somewhere in Kenya. So this is just showing us that it's not necessarily only one that is in the laboratory as a scientist should be the one that is just focusing on, but individuals like you and me can also volunteer, join the scientific world and the scientists to also see ways by which we can do our part in also coming up with the solution. And this part, I think, is also very important. The aspect that more than 3 billion people now is at the risk of infectious disease as a result of ocean and water pollution. And I could say that even in Africa, generally, we know that water pollution is still one of the major challenges that we are facing. But these challenges, we only talk about them sometimes, and some even feel to do like, okay, what can we do? But when there are no data in place, or we don't have a data to track progress and to monitor, okay, what is the problem? What have we achieved and what more can we do in order to solve this problem? Then that also is also part of the problem. And also in terms of projects that contribute or whereby people have also participate at citizen science, is this project I came across in South Africa, I think in yes, there's this community in South Africa, and as you can read here, that is showing the power of citizen science, because the whole project is just rally around citizens, people that are affected by the problem, and they are the one also creating the solutions from them, instead of them waiting for government or waiting for some other people to come and solve the problem for them, and all of that. So this is just like a groundwater, and this project was titled "The Diamond Under the Sole of the Feet." So that means the people here, just to talk a bit about here, is like the farmers, they don't have water to also work with their farm and all of that. But because they are willing to co-create solutions, they got themselves engaged in the process and they are able to solve the problem. For probably if you are interested to learn more, you can also search it online to learn more about it. But what I actually wanted to point out from here is to see the power of citizen science, to see when we are ready to engage ourselves as citizen scientists, the solutions that we can bring about into our communities and basically into the aqua to solve the problem and also live a sustainable ocean and aquatic life for the future generations. And another part project is this project that come about from the unique mappers in Nigeria. And this is also like an interesting project because these people, the main idea around this project is just to see, like, if you, for people that are from Nigeria here, we know that going to the southern part of Nigeria, like the south, you know that oil spillage is like a big problem around those places. And aside that, it affects the people living there. The ecosystem, the marine and the aquatic ecosystem over there is also like very much affected due to like oil spillage and water pollutions. And this young mapper, this initiative, they come up by enlisting citizen science to monitor oil spillage in the Niger Delta through online interactions. So, okay, probably I can talk more about this later. So the project were able to gather around 215 volunteers, just youths that are ready to do their part in contributing to solving the problem of oil spillage. So they just mapped, they show the images of the potential oil spillage, and from there they are able to send the informations to the necessary agency to contribute. So this is just like, aside that, we have there's a problem which is oil spillage, yes, but people are ready to do to co-create solutions to solve this problem. And this is also showing the power of citizen science, and through that they are able to identify about 81 oil spills in the Niger Delta, providing scientists with valuable information on a dangerous environmental hazard and water pollution. So this shows that it is not just leaving the scientists, what like I've said earlier, to do the problem or to solve the problem or provide solutions, but even we also can also join in providing solution to these. And like I've said earlier, the technology, internet has made things very much convenient and very much easy for us to participate. Gone are those days where you're like, okay, what can I do? I don't have access to this, or I cannot go there. Even through online, just being online alone, you can participate. And all of these were done just through online interactions alone. So everybody participated remotely in this project. And secondly to that, aside from data collection and monitoring, is the aspect of ocean conservation. We know that we cannot talk more, or there's no how we can eradicate the need for conserving our ocean if actually we want to protect the aquatic life. And governments, we may not be able to also stay on government forever for them to come and do something or provide a solution entirely. So this calls also for a need for citizens that are willing to provide solution and also interested to do something and render their services to contribute to solving this problem. So this was a UNDP, that's the United Nations Development Program, or bleach cleanup exercise that was carried out last year, 2022 in Ghana. And through that, they were able to get about 250 citizens comparing from the staff of organization, even children. You ask children, school children, community volunteers that came together to participate in this cleanup project, and with the goal to also save the planet for people and also the aquatic system. And I know that this is like a common thing, like we have beach cleaning projects all around. But for this part, it is not really just about just cleaning the beach. If you just clean it today, by the time you come back next week, it's already also filled up again. So that means the problem is not actually being solved. But as citizen science, there's a need also to come in place by coming up with systems by which we can probably get data and also track progress and see that, okay, today we collect this so amount of probably dates and debris around our oceans. We can track that next month, what's the amount we are able to get. And from that, over time, we can come up with the data that can also inform decisions and also help decision makers and to come up with strategic decisions to solve this problem entirely. And secondly to that, I should also add, this is also a need to train upcoming citizen scientists. And I came across this beautiful work done by the Aquaworld, sorry. And this is one of their projects, which is titled the Ocean Champion Project. And one of the things I found fascinating about this is raising younger generations, also helping them to know that there's a problem, and if we are not ready to solve the problem, then no one is coming to solve the problem. And there is also like a danger, or should I say future effect and impact of this problem, even on this younger generation themselves in generally. So, and okay. So now what can you and I do as citizen scientists to save aquatic life? Having talked about the problem and also show that this is not like maybe something that has not been existed before. It is a concept, though in Africa generally is not like a broad concept or something that's actually growing ground like that, but a lot of activities has been around it. So what can we do to also contribute to saving the aquatic ecosystem as citizen scientists, as people that are willing to join the scientific world to provide solution and corporate solution? The first is to volunteer, and we cannot stress the point of volunteering more and more, because when we are not ready to volunteer or join in providing solution, that means we are postponing the problem and also postponing the desired results that we need to see. So participating in beach cleaning up to record the type and amount of marine debris present is one of the ways by which we can contribute. And like I've said earlier, is like not just doing bleach cleanup earlier, but if there are no data or tracking system in place, that means whatever we do now today, by the time we are back tomorrow, we may not still be able to really solve the problem in its entirety. So there's a need for us to record, take data. Data is really key to citizen science, and as a citizen scientist, we have to be data conscious, that we cannot get the desired results without having a monitoring system or a tracking system in place. And another thing is also collaborate and advocate. And I think there's a need to also stress this, like collaboration is very, very essential, because one cannot do it. And this is why even citizen science is coming in place, because even the science have recognized that the scientific world alone cannot do this problem. The government alone cannot solve this problem. So even we, the citizens, people that are also affected by this problem, we can also come together to collaborate, devise ideas, come up with solutions that can be adopted in our local communities, the seas around us, or even the general come now to the oceans, and develop a solution to solve the problem. And another thing is also the place of advocating for the solution, because we know, like, presently there has been a lot of discussions around conservation, ocean aquatic life and ocean conservation, but we still know that there are still a lot of restriction or reluctances from the government, because some of them don't want to really take actions, or probably they are not still willing, a lot of pressure. But when we advocate and we make them to see reasons for this desired result, then that means we are actually working towards that, getting the solution. So there's a need to collaborate, not just work in silos, but work hand in hand, work together, and also advocate. Advocacy is like very, very important, especially in the world we are now, that we know without really raising our voice, we may not be able to get the desired result. So this collaboration is an essential part of ocean data collection, and this will help us to have a comprehensive and accurate understanding of the ocean, the problem, which is like the climate change part of the increasing temperature, the ocean acidity, even to the extent of water quality. Like I've said now, a lot of issues will stay around, like water quality, which is not only to even human, but also the aquatic life in there too. So by collaborating and advocating, I think we can solve the problem and all. So I know probably some of us here will have been like volunteer for one project or another, but there's a need for us to, should I say, be an intentional volunteer now. If there's a way to put it now, like, we have to track what we are doing. It's not just volunteering just to go and forget. For example, now we know, like, we have this World Ocean Day, World Meteorological Day, people celebrate and all, but when we are doing that, are we really putting systems in place for us to measure that, okay, this is what we acquired this year, by next year, this is what we have acquired, okay, by 3 years, so that the goals we have set, we'll be able to measure them and see, okay, how far are we in reaching that goals. And this also can also help us to track progress and aim for the desired results. So I think this will come the conclusion of my presentations, and thank you very much for your attention. And if there's any question, I am welcome to answer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
Hello.
very much,
Yeah.
Opeyemi, Rasaq. That was a very good presentation. Thank you. Yeah, before the question and answer session, please, I would like everyone to put on their videos so we can take a good screenshot. Instead of sharing the screen. So.
Okay. Let me do
Thank
it.
you. All right. Please, everyone's video. Mr. Paul Olatunji. Mr. Paul, are you there? Okay. So we can all say cheese. Cheese. Okay, thank you. Yeah. He's still taking the picture, so keep smiling. Mr. Paul, are you done? Mr. Paul.
Wait. I didn't know I was the one taking the picture. Sorry.
That's really smiling.
To be honest.
Let's
Okay.
smile. Cheese.
Okay. Let's smile. Say cheese. So.
Cheese.
Okay. One more time. Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Paul. Okay, we'll be going to the question and answer session. Please, I want to listen to your question. The speaker want to listen to your question. Yeah. You can type in the chat or you can speak, anyone that you're comfortable with, please. Question time. Okay, Donata, yeah, you can speak, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Opeyemi, thank you for the presentation. So my question is, as a citizen scientist, do I have to be in a field of science, or because I could be someone who is living next to a water resource, but I know what is happening and I'm taking part in the conservation process, in the activities on the water resource. So do I have to be a scientist to be considered as a citizen scientist? Then the second question is, as I'm giving my contribution and data collection and all that, should citizen scientists be, should their contribution be, I don't know how to, okay, like after doing that data collection and all that, should they be appreciated? How should their efforts be documented? Because I think one of the way of motivating a citizen scientist is in as much as they're volunteering, and then, but if their effort is recognized that they did part of this work in conservation of this water resource or in water quality, it gives them the motivation to keep doing that, even if they're not being told to do it. So do you think that it's right to recognize their efforts?
Mr. Payne, you can answer.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Donata, for that great question. That's a great question. So the first is like, okay, how does somebody need to be a scientist to be a citizen scientist? Like I was saying earlier, like I said, like no, one does not need to be a scientist, like, or even be in the lab to be a citizen scientist. And I don't know if I could just take you, okay, sorry, I'm not projecting my slide now. But from the first picture, like I said, you see some women just doing like co-creative, talking about a problem there and all of that. One critical thing about citizen science is the participatory part of it. And like the word says, citizens, that means it could just be anyone, as long as the person is interested to be part of the solution, to provide solution. It could be even be, like you said, like being your place, maybe you are living close to a water resource, and on your own, you are taking the data, just storing those data around. I don't know if, yeah, maybe for us in Africa, we don't really do much of that. But to the Western world, I feel there's still this aspect. You could even see somebody in his own without any government assistant or nobody's assisting. You just be monitoring that water resources over the years, and they could be able to come up with data when there's a need for it. So the first is like one does not necessarily need to be a scientist, like our main like focus like scientific word now to be a citizen science. But one thing to that is like there's a need for empowerment. I think I mentioned that while presenting, like, you know, as long as you are not, the person is not coming from a field of science, doesn't have like background, there's also a need for them to be trained. And why that is necessary is because of the quality of information we tend to get from, or the citizen science tend to provide. Because, you know, like providing data also requires some skills or some knowledge of, okay, what information am I to take? How should I preserve them for them to be able to be used by the general public or anyone that is interested in using those data. And secondly is also the aspect of appreciating the citizen scientists, I think there is also a need for that. And that is, I think I was talking about that in the part of the framework, the process. And one of the ways I think that could be done is also providing feedback, because when you are solving a problem and you're also receiving feedback that, okay, what you did, the data you provided, this is how the data is being used, and this is the solution that came out from this data. I think that can also serve as a means of motivating citizen scientists to also carry on with their work and do more for them. But the background is like, it has to be voluntary, because I wonder that I'm not paid. Maybe when the money stop coming, and the person may not be able to have the drive to continue. But when a citizen science is voluntarily, but at least efforts can be appreciated by getting feedback and also maybe recognition for the work they are done. I think that would be a great way to go. I don't know if that answered the question. Thank you very much.
So in a project, is it okay to put a citizen scientist as part of the contributors of the project? For example, if you're working on a project.
Yes, as a means of recognizing their efforts. Yes, I think it's very appropriate, because yes, let me say, just in terms of research project, or let's say science project, now we know that, okay, when you want to publish your project, you have to name the contributors, the authors of those projects. But I think there is also a need. It's very important that the citizen scientists are also appreciated in their efforts to that, because if you don't put their name, that means you are just telling them that you only need them for that particular period, and that may not help them to continue whatever work they are doing over the years. So it's just a means of showing that what the work they are doing is really appreciated, and I think there's a need to add their names or their information and whatever the work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ganata. Abdullah, please. Mr. Abdullah, can we hear your question?
Yeah, thank you, Opeyemi, for that presentation. That was a very good one. So my question is, of course, you spoke about there will become a time where in the sharks, they will undergo extinction and all with respect to ocean acidification. I don't know if I'm correct.
Yes.
So like I will want to, my question is, what will you advise like the scientists or human population in general? How can we protect aquatic organisms or marine organisms by preventing ocean acidification? What are some of the mitigating measures we can use?
Okay. I think that's also that's a good question. I think, and okay, just to speak in that regard, is like that's a big problem actually, because even from like aside the aquatic life themselves, we know if that should happen, human life to also be affected. So that means there's also a need for us to bring up with solutions. So one of the, let's say the strategies that we like propose is, and I think that would also take me back to the IC33 agreement that was signed by the UN party recently. And like I was saying, like, oceans generally, like even 2/3 of the world population, we have like ocean covering. And this IC, they are just left open. Nobody is really monitoring what is going there. Anybody can do anything they like. But now that these countries have come together and also come in agreement that they are ready to commit themselves to protect this ocean. So that means effort would be like, how will I put it now? Like attention will be on this ocean to make sure the activities that is going on these oceans are being monitored. And like plastic pollutions, we have like different all sort of activities that is going that is affecting them. Then when this agreement has come in place now, eyes of people and even governments can come and commit themselves to make sure that these solutions provide. And another thing to say okay, if I should bring in the climate change aspect of it, because we know that carbon emission, increasing carbon emission is like the background of this problem. So there is also a need to also put pressure on our government, and also the government, the organizations or the companies that are really contributing, like countries that are like emitting most of this carbon need to also be cautioned so that when this is stopped, we will be able to like track the process. Because even if they stop today, the one that are in there is not going to go down. So talk less of if this continues in like a decade or 2 decades to come. So that means there's a need for more advocacy work from young people like us and also citizen scientists to put pressure on the government to advocate and make people to see the reason why this solution is necessary. So it's just for us to engage ourselves, and another thing to track the problem, which is like carbon emission and all. I don't know if that answered the questions or talked a bit about it.
Yes, Opeyemi, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bulai, for your question. Is there anyone with question before we go?
Yeah, I just thank you so much, Mr. Opeyemi, for the beautiful presentation and for the beautiful slides also.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want like a follow-up question to what the first person asked, the second the first person. Like it's just like I just want your comments on this. Like, okay, how do we recruit people? How do we get to know people that are interested? And how do we recruit them to become a citizen scientist? Or even though some people are not interested, how do we bring them on board? Because whether we like it or not, we need people. And maybe in a particular geographical region, some people are not really interested. But how do we bring them on board so that they can participate in this global thing that we are doing? So yeah, that's the question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Po. That's a very good question.
Sorry, Mr. Ope, before you answer, please, some people are leaving. There is a link on the chat. Please, before you leave, though we are still having questions and answers session, please, we need your feedback concerning the seminar. So once you hear your feedback, kindly sign into the link and provide us the feedback. Thank you very much. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that question, Mr. Paul. And I think while talking about citizen science, like general, like the key part of it, there's a part I mentioned about engagement. And yeah, there are a lot of ways by which you can bring people on board. But one thing I've noticed is like, yes, human being, we know there's a problem and we desire solutions, but sometimes or most times, we are not really ready to commit ourselves to be part of like solving those problems. So that means there should be a way to bring people in. And first, I would like to say as a comment is we need to make it interesting to people. Not just like, like just do the thing, collect the data, and that is all. But there's a need to make it in such a way, like forming like a community where people can, even aside from like contributing to science, you can have a community where people can engage, talk about interest, things that are of common interest to them, discuss related issues, and generally. And another thing is also to help people to see like you are not just coming to do this work, but from this work, you'll be able to also be empowered. There will be a way of empowering them to do the work you need them to do. And there are a lot of things, like for example, now if I could talk, for example, the issue of communications, because as a citizen science or when you are bringing people on board, there's a need for you to ensure that there's an effective communication in place, and you need to also build people in that regard. So by helping them to say, okay, even by participating in this project, your communication skills can be improved. You will need to be there's a community where you can participate in, where you have to meet people like you to co-create solutions and talk about issues that are like common problem to everyone. So I think those two is part of it. And another thing I also like to add is the aspect of technology. I think that is also very important. That means we need to share this, because for example, in Africa now, if you check like, yeah, I know there are a lot of projects around, but especially in the aspect of oceans and aquatic life, there's not really much, a lot talking around citizen science in that regard. So if we can promote this aspect, even the social media space, make people to see the need to join and to participate, it will be very, very important. And also using our online system and allow people to participate. And all. I think those three will be a very good way to go. Make people to see the need to join in the first place, and also let them see that, okay, you are not just even coming to provide data. These are the skills, these are the experience, these are the knowledge you stand to gain even by volunteering or committing yourselves to be part of this project. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Mr. Opeyemi. And to every participant, we say thank you very much for taking your time to attend this seminar. We really appreciate that. And like I said earlier, yeah, I believe we've learned one or two things about citizen science and how we can actually impact climate, how we can actually bring out our activities or channel activities to helping climate change. So yeah, like I said earlier, concerning the link to provide our feedback. So before we leave, please let us kindly provide our feedback about this seminar, like what we've learned and what you feel about the seminar through the link. And also you can go to our social media pages like on LinkedIn, Twitter. You can also tag us and tell us about the program and just say something and encourage us. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the time. Yeah, and see you for the next one. We hope to invite you all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Opey.